Imagine you're closing up at work, just finishing a long, quiet night shift, when out of nowhere, a soaked stranger walks in. He smiles, but it doesn't reach his eyes. What happens next will send chills down your spine. Stay tuned for a true horror encounter that's more terrifying than any nightmare. It was a late Thursday night in a small town outside of Portland, Oregon. The kind of town where the streets go quiet early, and the only sounds after 10 p.m. are the occasional passing car or a stray dog barking at nothing in particular. Inside the Rusty Spoon Cafe, Emma Caldwell was finishing her closing shift. She loved working late. The quiet hours helped her reflect on her day. The soft hum of the espresso machine, the scent of brewed coffee, and the low light from the string bulbs above the counter made the space feel almost cozy, even when she was alone. The last customers had left an hour earlier. Emma wiped down tables, counted out tips, and stacked chairs upside down on the tables. Outside, the rain that had been falling steadily all evening had become heavier, sheets of water cascading off the awning, splattering the sidewalk. Her phone sat on the counter, streaming soft jazz as she prepared to lock the front door. That's when the bell above the door jingled. Emma froze. She hadn't Emma's heart began racing. The man's eyes bore into her like dark holes, absorbing her fear. I'm calling the police," she blurted, grabbing for her phone. But before she could, the man stepped inside. The bell above the door swung madly in the wind as it slammed shut behind him. Emma stumbled back toward the counter, pressing the emergency alert button under the till. Her thumb shook. The man's wet footprints marked the tiled floor, a trail of darkness leading toward her. "I don't want to hurt you," he whispered as he advanced. Emma's breath hitched. "I just need you to come with me," he added, his voice now strangely calm, almost hypnotic. "What?" she managed, backing away. The man's expression hardened. Emma felt dizzy. It was like his breath was dragging her down into some dark space. Then, just as she felt herself slipping, the front door burst open again. "Emma, everything all right?" barked a voice, sharp and authoritative. A man in a police uniform stepped inside, fully alert, eyes scanning the scene. The attacker froze for a fraction of a second, enough for Emma to twist her wrist and pull free. The officer didn't hesitate. "Drop him. Now," he shouted. The soaked man snarled, a guttural, inhuman sound, and jerked back, but the officer drew his sidearm and aimed steady. "I said drop him." The man's eyes widened and he bolted toward the back door. Without thinking, the officer lunged and tackled him to the ground. The two men crashed onto the wet tile floor with a loud thud. Emma scrambled behind the counter, phone clutched tight, her hands trembling. The officer twisted the attacker's arm, forcing him face down. "Who are you? What the hell are you doing here?" the officer barked. The man hissed, but no words came out. his face contorted, not with pain but with something feral, almost animalistic. Emma's eyes widened as she watched him struggle. The officer pulled out a pair of cuffs and clamped them around his wrists. "You're going to jail, buddy. Whatever you are." Emma's knees buckled and she sank onto the stool behind the counter, covering her face. Her whole body shook uncontrollably. The officer knelt beside her, lowering his voice. "Are you okay?" Emma nodded, still gasping for air. I don't know. He wasn't right." "He's not right," the officer agreed grimly. He radioed for backup, and within minutes 2 more officers arrived. They secured the man and hauled him toward the exit. As they led him out, the rain seemed to pour harder, almost drowning out the sounds of the struggle. Emma stood frozen, staring at the empty doorway. The officer gave her a reassuring nod before stepping out into the night. For the next hour, Emma sat inside the cafe, unable to move, replaying the encounter over and over in her mind. What had that man been? A drifter? A predator? Something else? When the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, she finally locked the door and stepped outside. The rain had stopped, but her footprints and his still stained the tiled floor. End note for narration. This story reminds us how quickly danger can strike when you least expect it. That tall, soaked man might have been more than just a desperate stranger, and Emma's survival came down to a split-second choice and the bravery of an off-duty hero. Stay safe, stay aware, and trust your instincts, because sometimes monsters walk among us. Emma barely escaped with her life that night. One wrong move and she might have been abducted by something, or someone, far more dangerous than she ever expected. Always trust your instincts, because sometimes danger doesn't knock, it just walks right in. If you've ever had a scary experience, share it in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more real horror stories.